this file ex2d2.php. Yeah. All right. So here, what do we do here? We connect to the University DB database. Then we retrieve some simple information from the database and display. That's all we need to do. But later in all the pages, if we need to connect to this database, University DB, we just copy the code. All right? Yeah. Do some small modification if necessary. All right? Yeah. All right. So let's start. Yeah. So here, the code here, just this page. I like to explain line by line. Yeah. In order to do annotation, so I make a screenshot. Yeah. So this is the screenshot. So I can, write explanation on it. Okay. All right. So let's start. Yeah. So let me do the explanation on this image directly. Yeah. First, look at the first 4 lines, these 4 lines. So you can see we use 4 variables to store the necessary information we need to connect to this database. Yeah. Now, let's look at one by one. The first one, this DB host variable, localhost, because we run our database server under this localhost. Yeah. Second, username, password. Yeah. So here we have the highest level account, the root account. In MySQL, by default, the root account is the highest level account. Yeah. Here we use that. Yeah. The password, the default password. Yeah. Oh, so here I want to remind you, for the students in CS4010, because in your class, you remember, as I know, because I talked to a few students in your class before, so you change the password. Yeah, because your instructor requires you to use some specific password, not our default one. So default one, after we install MySQL database server, so we make that change. Yeah. But for your side, so you may use the different one. Okay? So you need to be aware of it. Yeah. So if you may need to do some change in your code in order to run these examples. Okay? All right. Yeah. So for other students, when you use my code, after you install the XAMPP, you do not do any change. Okay? You can run my code directly. Yeah. All right. So that's the password. Then the database name. Here I use the variable. Yeah. So make sure you create that university database. Use this name, University DB. Otherwise, if you do not use this name, it's fine. But make sure you make the change for this variable, for this $DB name variable. All right? Yeah. After that, look at this line. We use the MySQL I. Look at this I. Don't forget this I. This I is a newer version. Okay? Yeah. So it's a newer version, because the older version there is no I. All right? But the older version becomes deprecated. Okay? Yeah. So try to avoid using the older version. Yeah. So on some of the computers, if you use the version, because some students, they use the relatively newer version PHP, then the older version, the deprecated version may not be supported. Okay, all right, so here we use the older version. No, sorry, this I version. Okay, all right. Then we need a variable $connection. So this is the connection object. We need to use this object to do queries. So we need a variable to store the result from this connection by passing the 4 parameters with the values we define in the first 4 lines. Okay, so then this object we will use to do all the queries we need. Okay, yeah, so we need it. Yeah. Then, so here, these lines, we need to check if the database connection is, works or not, if there is any error here or not, okay, by checking, okay. If there is no error returned, then we can do the normal queries. Yeah. All right. But at the end, so here, before I explain the main part of the code, let me just jump to the end. At the end, we need to close the database connection. Yeah, because the database connection, there is some special object associated with it. Okay, yeah, there is a concrete object there. Okay, yeah, so this object uses quite some memory resource. Okay, yeah. So that's the reason at the end we should close the database connection to release the memory resource. Okay, yeah. So that's the better programming practice. Yeah. So we try to follow memory resource. All right, yeah. So and this part, so at this point, yeah, the first few lines, the last line close, this part pretty much standard. Okay, so every page, if we need to connect to the database for this project, this database, then we just copy paste these lines. Yeah. The middle part, then we need to change based on what we need to do. Okay, yeah, so we need to change the middle part. Yeah. All right, so now let's look at the query part. Yeah, so the query part, in this simple example, I only want to do one thing. Yeah, so what I want to do, I want to see how many tables do we have in this database. Okay, so that's the simple information I want to retrieve and display. Yeah. So now let me show you how to do it. Yeah. First, we define our query statements. This $SQL, this string variable. Yeah. So look at the query we put here. Yeah. Select count parenthesis star. So we want to count the number of tables. Yeah. So we run a query to list all the tables in this university DB. Okay, yeah, so here, look at the where condition. Yeah, table underscore schema. Yeah. So here, you know, in MySQL, yeah, so this for MySQL, you know, how to get, you know, in order to specify the database name, yeah, for table information. So you need to use this keyword. So this is the keyword, MySQL keyword, okay? MySQL keyword. Keyword or key, you know, phrase, whatever, yeah. So here, you can see we use the backtick here, all right? Table underscore schema, so we use the variable. Single quotes, inside of single quotes, we can use the PHP variable. The value is university DB here, okay? Yeah. So, but in our query, we can use PHP variable, all right? Yeah. So, after the where condition. Then, look at this one, information underscore schema. Yeah. So this one, in MySQL, it is the top level database. Here we know, in MySQL, we can create many databases, right? Large number of databases. But all those databases are managed under this database. This is the, you can treat as the MySQL top database. Okay, all right. So this one and dot tables, yeah. So it has a tables column, yeah. So dot tables, yeah. So we want to retrieve that information, yeah. So then this query first, it lists all the table names, but here, because we only want to count it, yeah, here, yeah. Only want to count the number of tables here, okay? Yeah, so here we use this count function on that star, yeah. Then after that, then we need to run the query, yeah, because this line 13, we just define the query statement. It's a string variable. It stores the query statement. Then we need to run it, right? We need to, you know, call some command in our MySQL DBMS to execute the command. Yeah. How to do it? Here we use a PHP function. MySQL I underscore query. Remember that dollar, that connection object, we need to pass it to this function. Now, for the old version, yeah, so for the old version without I, that old version without I, then we do not need to pass this object. Now, so for the older version, because the database connection object is set as a default database connection object, so you do not need to specify it. You just use the default object. But that version is not good. Yeah, this newer version much better, because if you can specify the database connection object, then you can access multiple databases in one program. Okay, so this allows you to access multiple databases. All right, yeah, multiple databases. But old version you cannot, okay? Because old version you do not have a chance to provide multiple database connection objects. You only give one chance to connect to one database, and that one is used as the default connection object. All right, yep. So here I just let you know the newer version is better than the older version, so we drop the older version. Okay, So we forget about the old version. All right? Yeah. So here, this newer version, yeah. So every time, but we need to pass the first parameter, that is the database connection object. All right? Second one, the query statement. Yeah. Then the result variable stores the query result. Okay? The query result. So what's the typical query result? The format. Okay? So here, let me draw a diagram. So now we need to process the query result. Okay? Yeah. We know the typical query result, it's a 2D arrays, rows and columns, corresponds to a table. So then we need to retrieve the rows, then columns, then get all the data values stored in this table. Yeah. All right. So here, in order to retrieve the data, I create a variable called this alt ARR array, string array, to store the return values. Yeah. But in this query, we know the structure of the return data. So that is only one number, because count number, only one number. One number, if we treat it as a table, that is a 1-by-1 table. One row, one column. So that's the 1-by-1 table. All right? Yeah, the simplest table, one row, one column, but it is still, it corresponds to 2D array. Okay? So because the return result, the query return result, supposed to be a 2D array. So you need to handle it as a 2D array. Okay? Yeah. So if you do not have this structure in your mind, if you can handle it in a wrong way, you will get syntax error. Okay? So that's why the way to work on the correct structure is very important. Right? Yeah. So here, just let you know, yeah. Although 2D array, because we only have one row, so this line, look at this line, line 17. This line, we call another PHP function, MySQL this fetch. You can see we want to fetch data, but here we only fetch the first row data. Because we know the whole table only has one row, right? Yeah. Every time we call this function, we fetch one current row. Okay? Yeah. Because the row at the beginning, you fetch the first row. The second time, you fetch the second row. The third time, you fetch the third row, and so on. Yeah. All right. Later, yeah, because in our later examples, most of the time, we need to retrieve the data from multiple rows, n by n. Yeah, n by n. Yeah, because the column number usually different from the row number. N by n data, the structure. Yeah. So then we will use while loop. Yeah. Here, because 1-by-1, so I will simplify the while loop way. Okay, I simplify the while loop way. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then, I just get the first row, and then I need to get the first column. Yeah. First column here, supposed to be the first column. Yeah. But here because I still keep the basic structure people use to go through all the columns. So let's use the for each loop. Yeah. Although we do not have to, here we do not have to. Yeah. But here I just keep that structure. Yeah, although I do this, but you know, because there is just the one column, right? There is just the one column. So we get that data, we put it in this array. Okay, yeah. So then we print out the information. There are this many tables. Yeah. So only here at a 0 location, that should be the number of tables, the number there. Yeah. So in our database, our number should be 5. So what do you see? The message on the page, that is, there are 5 tables. So you see the result, okay, for our example 2.2. All right, yeah. So before I finish this one, I just do a quick execution, let you see the result. Yeah. Then I will post the code. So all the code, all the example programs I show you here, I will upload, at the appropriate place so you can download, so you can, play around by yourselves. Yeah. All right. So let's look at the execution part. Right. Yeah. So here for my, yeah. All right. Yeah. So let me just run directly this time. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Run it. Yeah. See, there are 5 tables. That's simple. Okay. No error. You'll see the correct output. That's all you need. Right? So you finish this example, 2.2. Yeah. Next, yeah, I will try to explain some other important, useful features. So I will show you in the following examples. Here, I do not know how many I'd like to show you before I give you our first sample version. All right, yeah. Before that, so we need to learn a few features, concepts, examples. Yeah. All right, yeah. Let's finish this one right here.